Welcome to Emotional Breakdowns, and we're here once again with my frequent flyer friend Lori Therial from Work It, and we're here to talk about filling up your tank. So, what is filling up your tank? What's a tank? So, I'm going to pass it to Lori because she's the expert over here. And Lori, please tell us first, a quick introduction for people who doesn't saw the last one, and maybe just saying what you do real quick, and let's start this conversation.
All right. Well, thank you for having me once again. My name is Lori Theriot, and I own a company called Work It, and I help people figure out what they're going to be when they grow up. And while we do that, we help them better understand themselves. So today we're going to be talking about filling up your tank and how important that is, because everybody uses their energy in a different way. Some people
Correct. Well, we really wanted to talk about this because we see people that is drained, we see burnout, and this is actually emotional breakdowns. What does it take you to break down emotionally, mentally, physically, right? And here's emotionally, but what is really important here to see is how your personality, what role does your personality plays in your filling up your tank? What are we calling tank, right? For example, for me in yoga, I was telling Lori, in yoga, filling up your tank will be your breathing. Your breathing is your tank, because when you breathe, you fill up your tank. That's how we see it. But the one we're talking in here, it's how do you fill out your tank? How do you actually spend that during the day, right, Lori? So according to personalities, because Lori is the best person I know for personalities, right? And there is personalities that need a lot of time to recharge, to fill up their tank, correct? So talk about that personality.
Yeah. So when you're in a session with me, we talk about how much you can tolerate people. Just in general, the verbal communication part of a day-to-day, life. We talk about, your learning style. So all those things can actually drain you if it's not in alignment to who you are. So if you are people like Ada and I, we absolutely love people and we can talk to them all day. For long periods of time and not be drained. It actually works in reverse, where we're filling up our tank. So we're actually really charged by 9 p.m., whereas many people out there are fully exhausted and don't want to talk to anybody. So I guess that's an example of how we fill our tank.
Will that have to do with like being outgoing, for example, and being shy, Lori?
Yep. So in Work It, you're actually given a number, a score, an assessment number that will allow me to explain to you how you will best fill your tank, how much sleep you would need if you're in alignment to a job that is actually balanced to who you are. So if you're 50% people and 50% independent in a work day, it's best to probably meet with people during the morning hours and then work independently in the afternoon hours so that your tank is not empty by the time you get home to your family. I think that's probably the biggest thing.
I know. I love how you said that, because as you're saying that, you said 50-50, but like for me, I can be with people all day, but definitely in the morning is when I have most of my energy. In the afternoon, I do like to sit down and work, like you said, independently. Although I'm customer service. That will be an outgoing personality, right? That, we can be in customer service. But if you put a person who's shy, who takes 12 hours to fill up their tank, people is going to drain them, right?
Right. So, people like Ada and I are more public speakers naturally. So we actually get charged up by an audience. And for us, as long as we have an audience every day, we're going to only need about 5 hours sleep to be fully rested.
True.
So what you see is two individuals that can keep going and going and going as long as they have a stage during the day where they're voicing.
Yes, correct. And like for me, I do different things. Like we were talking last time, but there is things. Most of the time, I don't get trained, but I got trained in my life. One of the things that really helped me, was Lori, because it was like confirmation of what I was doing was right for me. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like I'm not going to go and like we talk about stretching the elastic band. I'm not going to stretch my elastic band with a person that is quiet and not talk all day, like having a partner or somebody at work, because they will drain you, right?
Yeah, and I think you hit on something. Having the audience is very important for Ada and I. But if the audience consists of people that have a learning style that might be different than ours, we learn best by experience, and that's who we are. But 70% of the world learns best by facts. So having people in our audience that are very inquisitive, need to know more, debate what we say can be extremely draining.
Yes. And then because there is with Workit, she uses different categories, and in one of them, of course, there is different 48s, and you will hear that a lot here with Lori and I talking about the 48s and the then 48s, right? But like Lori said one day, we are 48s, but we're outgoing 48s, right? Mm-hmm. But can you imagine the precise 48 is the one that will come and want proof of everything. So for us, taking the time, of proving that, it's almost like wasting our time because we don't need to prove it. We already know it.
Right. So, Ada and I trust our gut exclusively. And sometimes that gets us in trouble and sometimes it doesn't. When she mentioned the 48s, that is the highest score in the assessment that I use. And that is an extreme. So you're an extreme one way. So like Ada said, we're extreme in the need to use our voice to educate, to communicate, to calm, because again, this is about emotional breakdowns. So many people out there do get emotional, and we are capable of, calming them down.
Especially Lori, especially you, because you understand this so much that it's almost like sometimes you have to be the mediator, because mm-hmm. we really, the two people where this thing is going or happening are not realizing really that it's just maybe a fight, but it's the personality. Right? And that's what happens at work, and that's why this is so important, because everything that is happening out there is at the jobs. You have the wrong teams. Mm-hmm. You have the wrong people in the wrong jobs. Mm-hmm. That's why there's so many unhappy people, tired people, burnout people, because they're not filling up their tanks, and because they don't know how. They don't even know they have a tank. Mm-hmm. Right? They just go to sleep, they eat, they work, but it's like an autopilot.
Yeah, and there are many people walking around here with minus in their tank. So it's already past empty. And I think we all know we've bumped into those or have them living in our home. So it's important to get them aligned to something that is actually going to refill their tank during the course of the day. And that's what I work very hard to do with my clients, is to get them to where they never hit the empty line, or 10 miles till empty line within their bodies.
And that's when that goes on empty and a minus, that's when a breakdown can happen. Mm-hmm. And why do I call it here emotional breakdown? Finally, in this new era, new time, however you want to call it, finally people is noticing that emotional is more important than being intellectual. Being intellectual doesn't solve problems sometimes, because all the emotions against that get you sick. So if you deplete your tank, you're going to burn out. And you are a 48, you're going to go in your head. Your head is trying to solve all this problem. And when it can't, it just goes like short circuit. And then what happened? Mental illness, anxiety, depression, psychosis, schizophrenia, bipolar, right?
Yeah, I mean, we are trained at a very young age that, being smart in school is a ticket to success. And in my profession, I see that as a ticket to imbalance. I guess that's the right word. There's some individuals that can handle all that smart, and then there are some individuals that question their smart. So we know a lot of people out there that are looking for the straight A's and the 4.0s, and I have seen a lot of them in my office and have had to get them back, not even back, get them to understand that the secret to success is through their passion and not through a grade that the promised land was promised to them. So, and I say this not to disrespect any teachers out there or any administrators that are pushing for this still today. It's just I get your children after through their college experience.
And I have friends, social workers, and they do get them too. But really, if we could get them into a point that they need to know themselves, we need to know ourselves. We are put in this new society just to watch everything outside us and don't take care of you. Put your health in somebody else's hands. Put your emotional well-being in somebody else's hands, right? That's what all these people is going through that. So why are we mentioning that? Because with these emotional breakdowns, we're giving you tools so you don't get there. And you can be healthy, happy, plentiful, joyful, whatever it is that you're looking for, right? So that's why we're pushing so much, talking with Lori, because I met her for a few years, and really I've seen her changing lives, where she changed mine. She gave me a lot of confirmations, but also I want to do all these things. I'm a dreamer, right? And then people will squash my dreams. You're crazy, that's not possible, all the beliefs. And I was a really strong-minded and spiritual person, so I didn't let a lot of people squash me, but I cannot even count how many did squash my dreams, right?
And they delay. It causes delay.
And it causes delay because I haven't been able to do a lot of things. How did I recharge my tank? How? With people.
The right people.
The right people, because
right
there
people.
is the other ones that will drain me. Quiet people who are too... what is in the other side of outgoing in your test?
Introverted.
Introvert, right? So the other extreme is the one that will drain me, the introverts. And I will drain them because it goes both ways.
It does.
So can you imagine if you have a person working in a place that have these two personalities, and one is the salesperson and don't let him sell, and the other one is the one that has to sell but doesn't sell. Those are the kind of examples that we see with Lori, and that's why she goes to different places at work, and she can put the right business team to work, and it's like magic, right? Like for me, she said, I love feet, and what you said, Lori, go back to feet. If I work in feet, I don't get tired. I fill up my tank instead of depleting it.
Yeah, and a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old that says, I want to work with feet the rest of my life, the first thing they're going to say is become a podiatrist. But that's not where Ada's passion is. Her passion is healing the feet in a different way, not through surgery. So being able to use the feet as a way to calm emotions, understand emotions better, know where there's a disconnect within your chakras, it takes on a whole new meaning. But that 14-year-old Ada, I'm sure, was squashed by many as she said, I'm not going to become a podiatrist.
For example, I went to college for mass communication. And when I was 30 years old, I said, I want to go to cosmetology school. And then my ex-husband said, why would you want to touch hands and feet if you have a college degree? You see, right there, it's something that had an impact in me that looked like something bad. And at this point in my life, yeah, I said, if I can be touching feet all day and not get tired, instead of doing marketing or something that stresses me or I don't have time, just because I have the career, you can really balance. I think it's a balance, right? But the balance in here is in you. And part of that is that personality of how to fill your tank. That has to do with a lot of sleeping patterns. So talk about in the sleeping patterns, how do you measure that?
So the introverted person, if they're in a behind the scenes job, maybe working remotely, they will need more sleep than Ada and I. We get about 5. But the introverted person that's aligned to the right job could feel rested after about 9 hours. But if that introverted person is working in an office with a bunch of chatter going on all around them without an earmuffs on their ears, they are going to pretty much want to explode by the time 5 o'clock hits.
Yeah.
And what happens is they take it out on their family. They'll go silent. They'll disappear. There may even be some alcohol involved. It's just how they are refilling themselves or masking the situation. So they'll need about 12 hours sleep.
And I've seen that a lot in the kids that they go to the room from school and they don't go out. Parents don't understand that they do need that time out, but we also need something to be doing while they're in that time out, which will be like right now, I don't know, computer, education, whatever it is, or just resting, whatever relaxes them. But nowadays they think that the phone and the games relaxes them, which is not. It's actually creating new neural things, connections in your brain. And can you imagine? That's why I remember when all this started in like Columbine. This is like when the video games were starting. Now everything is more real. So those games, you're really training your mind to feel that is normal.
The reality.
The new reality. And it has to do with all this because the people who in this personality are introvert, those are the people that are more on the phone. Right? Because they don't want to be with people. And for them, a phone is no people.
Yeah, before COVID hit, there was a big campaign to unplug your kids, unplug yourself. And then, of course, COVID hit and everybody had to plug back in. So what Ada and I do every day is we handle the aftermath of people who have plugged in way too long. And it's amazing to see what damage has been done by living in a imaginary world, I guess.
Virtual. That's how we call it in the therapy I do, because there's 3 ways that something can engrave. You can have a bioshock. With a bioshock, it's in your body, right? That's why you get sick. And a lot of that can be virtual. Because the brain doesn't recognize that what's happening in here is not real. It is real for the brain. That's why the TV, the video games, everything is so dangerous, because we are being programmed by that, right? If you're playing how many hours a week the same game 5 times, 7 times a week, you're being programmed.
Yeah, and just talking about media, for instance, 70% of the world trusts facts. Ada and I don't typically trust facts. We trust our gut, and there's a difference, but we're a minority. So 70% of the world are people like our clients, where we are getting them out of a rabbit hole. Because as they continue to search for more documentation, facts, opinions,
they get stuck.
And the opinions cause the emotional breakdown.
Yes.
And that's where we get them. They're not considered, I guess, strong enough to get up each day at this point. I mean, a lot of them are just not feeling the strength to move on.
And we have to see that during COVID, can you imagine all the 48s that stay in their houses? And at some point they will understand this, in the future. But when you see all these people that were afraid of all this, they were 48s because they needed the facts. And the facts didn't exist because this thing didn't exist before. So how can you get facts in something that doesn't exist? You have to trust your guts, your faith in God, whatever it is, right? So a lot of people didn't even get off their houses and died there. A lot of them happened. So for us, it's thanks God we live in this country that it's free speech and we can talk. And nowadays with technology, we can really say what we think. You're hearing from two visionaries. And like Lori, we already talk always about numbers, only 13% of the world, we don't know if it's less or more, but it's really a small percentage where a lot of us feel like we're misunderstood because, we're in the extremes and everything is extremes, but when you can see our point of view, as we see your point of view, we can work as a group and help each other, right? Because being, for example, in a relation, let's say husband-wife.
And filling the tank?
And filling the tank. And one sleeps a lot. And the other one doesn't sleep a lot. What happens there, Lori, with the emotion, the tank?
You can use it as one person has the back of the other because they probably bring different strengths to the relationship. But if the one that is outgoing is needing to be out socializing and the one that's sleeping all the time doesn't mind that the other one is out socializing,
it's
okay. It's okay. But if you have a jealous relationship, it's not okay. So it ends up
because he will try. Yes, because he will try to say, stay at home, stay with me, let's watch TV, and the other one is like, no, I want to go outside and bicycle and all that. So that it's when you come and you help. Why do I recommend working so much? Because it helps at work, it helps in school, it helps in your house. And this is where everything happens in society. And you can start dealing with, the help that Lori will help you guide your kids to make, at the end, a better society. Because that's what we're all trying to do in here. We're trying to make this a better world. So you have to keep giving the numbers, because I was talking this morning and I said, 4,000 proof, counted and going. And the person I was talking said, she's going for 1 million.
Yes, I'm so going for 1 million. But like you said, Ada, 4,000 people have gone through Work It and have, changed their lives. But that doesn't only impact the 4,000 people that have seen me, it impacts the people in their homes. So let's say there's 3 additional people in their homes. It's 4 times 3, it's 12,000 people that have been impacted by Work It.
Yes, and I think more. I think more because I'm the voice for you, and it's like any part of the world that I'm talking to anyone, I said, oh, she will do it online. She can do this test online, at least get you the start, get you the steps to get going, because she will give you a plan. And I'm a business person. I've been in business for 20 years, but I'm a crazy business owner because I'm ADD. So I have my faults, my step backs, my everything. But at the end, I've helped a lot of people, and I'm not about money, so I like that. But one of the things is that since Lori came, it's almost like I feel I have now more structure. That I don't like structure, but it's a base where I can stand and I can be me, and I can be happy, and I can use my strengths. And sometimes, of course, there are weaknesses, and they can be mistakes, but it's the balance. So reaching this, it's beautiful. There's people that die and they never find this.
I think it's important, we as business women, we are, we're the idea, the big vision. We live 5 years ahead of ourselves, maybe even 10. So the problems of today are so far behind us that it's a challenge to be able to give that view to the client in front of us, because most of them live in the present or live in the past. Many of them live in the past. So I think it's important to say that you should surround yourself with the people that you are not. So just like I mentioned earlier, having all those people that are very detail oriented and precise and fact based, too many of those will deplete our energy. But one good one that is there to support us is very, very complementary.
And this is what you're seeing right here, because we complement each other. And you know, I never in my life, well, maybe I met another person like Lori, but finding a person that really is like you and understand how you are, at least for visionaries, because there's such a small percentage that we can really guide, because without a visionary this world will not go anywhere. For example, Disney will not exist if, because he saw it in his dreams, the park, you know, so that's a visionary. Nikola Tesla, there will be nothing without dreamers. So you know, just try to support. Don't say, oh, it's crazy, it's wild.
I think that would be a great next topic for the podcast.
Yes,
is dreamers.
Dreamers. So we're going to do the next one, dreamers. We are about time. I think we want to keep this between 20-25 minutes, and we're doing great. So write your comments, please. Send us questions. Lori, what's your website? I will put it in the YouTube channel too, but what is your website?
Yeah, so you can reach me at workitcareers.com. Look forward to talking to you.
Yes, and we'll see you next time with the topic with Lori Terrial, Dreamers. It was a pleasure being with you, and we'll see you next time. Bye, Lori.